welcome back to the podcast. So, I'm Hans,
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Joanne.
I'm Vivienne.
and we are doing the Regen Z podcast. So, today we're going to talk about a bit, back to school. It's been a few weeks, so we're going to talk about like the pressure, like when we come to school, like to study and stuff. There's pressure, like from our friends, families, parents, ourselves. So, I don't know. How much pressure do you guys feel like having to go to school and stuff?
I don't know. Maybe for me, there's not much. I don't know. I go to a private school, and it's not like selective school like Joanne goes to, and I don't get as much pressure from getting the top mark and things like that. Whereas Joanne's school is all competitive for the top mark and things. But I don't feel like I get that pressure to compete with other people. I mostly pressure myself into doing good, um, in my assignments and things, and I don't get that much pressure from my parents, even though like they want me to do my best, and I think I do. but
You
yeah,
think you knew?
as in in school pressure, I don't for me. There's not too much.
Yeah, I think for me, there is pressure, I guess, mostly from myself or the people around me, as in my peers. So as I go to a selective school, as Jeremy said, and I guess it's more like a competitive environment where people want the good grades. It's easier to feel pressure when all your peers are I guess aiming for the same things as you. Um and also I don't feel that much pressure from parents, but it's mostly myself, and I want to push myself, I guess, to achieve my best. But yeah.
For me, I feel like I grew up with pressure from my parents. I guess the stereotypical Asian, tutoring, piano, violin, don't do art. Like,
no.
like
Do art.
yeah, I guess it was like that when I was little, but I guess this time, like, yeah, my parents started to not put all these expectations. I mean, it's good in some ways for well-being, but then at the end, if you don't have pressure, you're stagnant. So I guess it was like that for a while, but now as senior years, you pressure yourself and the people around you, obviously, because now even year 11 and year 12 here, we get ranked in our schoolwork. So if you're not in the at least top 10 or something, it's kind of you get ranked. That's kind of sad, but yeah, I guess pressure from other people, but because I don't go to a selective or private school, I go to a public school. But even with that, you can still feel the pressure, even if I don't know, maybe at school it's between the Asian people, but
Fair enough.
yeah.
But this kind of culture where we pressure each other to do things, pressure ourselves as well, to make sure we're on the top. But in the end, the top is the top, and not everyone's gonna be at the top. So is pressure a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, I feel like it's not really about being the top. I think for me, I pressure myself to do better. I guess if I know that I'm not working at my best, then I would add more pressure for me to do better and do my best, because I know that that's not my best. But I guess the pressure from your peers is not necessarily to be at the top, but just to see where you are, in your grade, I guess, where you stand, as well as I guess healthy pressure would be looking at your peers and being I guess good comparison, in terms of oh, I want to be like that person. I want to be able to score better in this subject just like that person. But it turns unhealthy when we try to compete and beat each other. So, yeah.
But it's also unhealthy when we expect too much of ourselves, because I feel a lot of the time everyone looks up to the smart people and like, oh, we have to be like them. But like that makes it so unhealthy because like everyone is given different gifts and talents and abilities by God, and it's not measured by how much like you don't have to be at the top. Like that's not the goal of going to school is not to become the best. And like, if you gotta be like you need to know yourself and know like how much God's given you, but at the same time, yeah, do your best. And everyone's best is different. And so I guess yeah, not comparing to other people, but it's about how we are responsible with what God's given us and our talents, as we talked about in the last episode. But I also want to bring up like, whether those people who are at the top and they pressure themselves really like a lot to do good, but like what's the point of it? Because a lot of the times they are sort of just pressuring themselves so they could keep their own image or like to yeah, I know have that like perfect 99.95 ATAR and then become a doctor and then like become famous and get a lot of money. And like that's not even the goal because I think a lot of the time our pressure is actually selfish. Like we pressure ourselves for selfish goals, or we don't pressure ourselves also for selfish. Like it's like the 99.95 ATAR people pressure themselves for fame and wealth, and then the people who don't really pressure themselves, they do it just because like, oh, okay, I'm not good enough. Fine, I'm just gonna do what I like and just enjoy myself. And so yeah,
Yeah, so I think like that's where the like prayer comes in. Like you have to pray, I guess, reflect on yourself and like what the pressure is really about. Like what is the motivation? Because ultimately it shouldn't be like from our friends or from our parents, from our school. It should be like for God. Everything we do should be for God. And I guess you have to like reflect and like rethink our motivation if it is anything else apart from God.
I feel like I don't know. Some teens, like a lot of teens these days, they just wanna. I don't know. Coming from private school, a lot of my friends just don't care about their grades. They're like, mm, especially in Australia as well. Like they don't like even if there's like a ranking system and like they're like last or something, they don't care. As in like, so what? I'm lost. What can you do about it? Like I'm just gonna enjoy my life. And so there's no pressure coming from anywhere. And so like maybe from their parents, but um I feel like what Han said, it's still selfish. Like even if you don't try or anything, what is the motivation to do anything? And that's a question that we can ask ourselves. Like, what is the motivation for doing anything? In like doing everything that you do in life. And so yeah.
if we could draw it back a bit to like maybe our own experiences or like I don't know. If you're like in year 12, so like, what's the pressure feeling like right now?
Um, I don't know. I guess because like I do like maths, chemistry, physics. I did engineering for a bit. So like in those subjects, your ranking and your marks is really because the people that do these subjects are like they care a lot about their marks. They care a lot about where they rank in the cohort. So I feel like things like this, it really I mean, even if it's not like you're not consciously thinking about it all the time, but I guess like when you're doing it, you feel like you want to beat everyone, you want to like be the top of the ranking system, but I don't know. I feel like obviously we can't work if we have no pressure at all and then you'll be stagnant. So I guess like more I mean, of course you could say like pray and read the Bible, but like in a more like practical sense, I guess knowing yourself and knowing like what's right, knowing the truth, why are you trying hard? So I guess like even like once you know the truth, once you know why I'm trying, it's not because I want to be the best, not so that I can have my name like famous, but it's so that you do everything for God, you do everything to glorify him and as cliche as that sounds, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. Like knowing who you are, like knowing our true identity, because a lot of the time we succumb to pressure because it's because we try to put our identity in like our grades, or being able to be accepted socially at school for being smart, or like fitting in that way. But like once we know our identity and our uniqueness, I guess that's when we can flourish, because we know that we're not meant to be someone else, but we can be ourselves, how God made us with the talents that He's given us, and that we use those and cultivate those to be able to serve Him. So, relating back to the topic of pressure, but now from a different angle, I guess another kind of pressure that we deal with, especially if we hold on to the Christian faith and say we're Christians and we've grown up believing and we believe in God, is like we're called to live a different life, right? And we're called to become holy, to be able to follow God and obey Him. But I guess that comes with a lot of pressures for itself, especially like even at school. Our friends pressure us to live a different kind of lifestyle, a lifestyle that just pleases, as a selfish lifestyle that to please themselves. And we're pressured to do that as well. And society pressures us with different ideals and I guess dreams of how life should be. And so, yeah, what are you guys' opinions? Like, what pressures do you find is common for us? And then how should we respond to that?
Yeah, I guess like in my school, especially since I don't go to like a Christian school, I guess it's peer pressure from others like who say go out a lot, or like they hang out and say it's like on a Sunday, and then like I would not be able to come because of church. And I guess how we respond to that is like still respecting them in a way, but also holding on to like your own values. So I guess not conforming to like the world, like, and their standards and expectations, but always like holding on and standing firm to like your Christian beliefs. And also I guess reaching out to them to like share the truth as well, so that um they can have a change of heart, like yeah, like we share our knowledge with them, and like the truth that we've experienced for ourselves, in the hope that they can also enjoy that.
I mean, it's it's similar. I said it so many times, but it's similar in my school, in my Christian school as well. Like there are still like a lot of people who are like quote unquote worldly, and they like to go out a lot, and then and and like for me, I feel it's hard sometimes, as in like I feel the pressure that like I have to kind of like still try to like maintain like I don't know, being friends with them, even though like I can't go out with them every weekend and things like that. And so yeah.
But like aside from school, I guess there's a lot of other factors like your appearance on social media, the pressure to have like an Instagrammable life, weekends going to the beach. And yeah, I guess it's not like we're forced to go to church, but like I guess sometimes it just hurts when you know that like your friends, they value your friendship, they value going out and talking to each other, but when you can't give that to them, it makes you like think about it, like are you really their friend if you're not able to give this to them, or are you being selfish? So sometimes it really makes you doubt your Christianity, your spirituality as well.
I guess though, like when we look at all these topics and we kind of bring it all together, um, we have to understand back again, like what this podcast is all about. Like Christianity, when we decide to follow Jesus, it's not like we decide to follow religion. We can't do that. We can't do this, and somehow now we have to live a different life to other people. But that, what it's about is that, well, back to the basics of the gospel is that we're sinful people and we've decided to live our own ways, like gone our own ways, to do things not against God. We've gone against God's ways and done things our own ways. And it's either like when we surrender our lives back to Christ, that means we let go of living our lives our own ways again and go back to living God's ways. And there's always going to be like conflict or pressure when we confront people who are still like for living their own ways and they don't want to live for God's ways. But I think, yeah, first and foremost is what we have to believe in our hearts and place our identity in. That's where we'll have like a solid foundation to move forward, is when we know that I'm a new creation because God loves me and He has a plan for me. And from the beginning, He chose me so that I would be His child and that I would be able to obey Him and serve Him. And that would be the best life for me. And if we like have that as our identity, then going forward, like our friends, even though they might do something else, like they might live other ways, then we can say that, okay, uh, that's not me. That's not what my life is about. My life is about serving God, and of course, we try and evangelize and try make them realize also this truth. But I guess at some point, I think there's that connection, there's that distinction between friendship and fellowship. Something that we talked about in a recent event for Regen. You should have been there. Oh yeah, so shout out. This is actually from the Regen Fellowship. They happen every 2 months. Keep updated. Anyway, we were talking about the beauty of fellowship, and what we were talking about was, true fellowship is people who are Christians and who have decided together to live this life to follow God. And I guess we can relate to each other and help each other grow um, in this life. And there's a distinction between fellowship and friendship, where I guess we can be friends with people of the world, but in essence, our life direction is different. And yeah, we pray and hope that more people can come to know the truth, but we ourselves need to live in the truth.
Yeah, so I guess it's really important that we're familiar with why we're doing what we're doing, so that once we're grounded in the truth, even if there's pressure from outside, pressure from our parents or our school or from ourselves, we're able to stand firm in the truth. And so, with that, this episode comes to an end. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at regeneration_Z and check out our website, which is articles and daily devotions.
regenerationz.org. I won't spell it out again. If you want to know how to spell it, see
check
the
out,
introduction.
check out. Yeah, we should have said before, but if you didn't see the last episode, watch that.
And the one in the introduction
Oh,
too.
and the introduction as well.
And tune in to our next episode.
And stay updated for all info about camp retreat. Yeah, check out our website.
Well, that's it.
Bye.
Bye.